Oh, okay. Hello. Hello. Um, what's up? We're gonna do something a little bit different in this video. Um, in that we're not actually gonna stream a game on this one. This one is actually gonna be my attempt. Just a quick tutorial on some basics when it comes to SWTOR, and specifically SWTOR when you want to apply it to something like PvP. So today what I wanted to do in this particular video is actually do something with the user interface. So if you're not familiar with it, you can see things are a little bit different on my screen, and that I have a very low tune, level 26, nothing cray. But the important thing is I have it basically set up with the interfaces on default. Okay. So there are a couple ways that you can change certain things within the interface, but what you're going to look for is this little crossbar thing here, and then within it you're going to see the three interfaces: extended, retro, and default. And I just decided to start with default for now. Now let's assume that we're going to be a new character going in, and let's first look at what we have within the user interface so that we know all the objects that we'll be moving. It's really pretty straightforward. The only two big ones right now within default that you're going to really spend most of your time looking at are your spell bar, which you see located down here, and your map, which is located here. And actually, default, you actually start with your map zoomed all the way in, which is great. You can see a lot of detail within your mini map, but you can also see it on the screen. So, that's how you start off. Right. There are some other things. You have a quest log up here, which you can toggle on and off. You have your companion bar here. You generally have a chat window up here and some settings, which I have covered by my video. And lastly, you have your toolbar and your cartel set up here. This is your phase indicator. So that's pretty much just defining all the different points within here. So first of all, why is it not ideal? Let's ask that question. Why is it not ideal to just go ahead, start playing SWTOR, and expect that you're going to be rocking, 2K heals per second, or whatever you're trying to accomplish within a war zone, or 20 medals, whatever whatever defines a good match to you? And why can't we do that just walking straight in? Why is the default not the best way to get the most out of your gameplay in terms of PvP? Well, the first thing actually, and this goes for whether it's PvP or PvE, is, are you a clicker or are you hotkeyer? So what do we mean by that? So within the interface, we have preferences, and there are a couple things you can change. Actually, I kind of got a little bit ahead of myself. One of the things that you want to look at is immediately want to change is actually your cooldown settings. You always want to, if you can, show cooldown text. So I'll give you an example of with and without cooldown. So right now, let's just say default has no cooldown text. Oh, how do we get back there? Key bindings. Nope, game user interface. There we go. So default has no cooldown text, right? Okay, so there we go. So let's say I cast a spell, and let's say I just want to cast bubble. Right? Oh, actually, that's the worst part. That's not really cool. All right, let's say we cast overload. Overload's a spell with a cooldown. So if you read it, the cooldown's 20 seconds, right? It's just a spell. So boom, we just cast it. I could have clicked it. And you'll see that there's a little bit of a highlight that goes all the way down, and once the whole box is filled or defilled with that little, I guess, kind of opaque little graphic, that's really just literally counting down how many seconds are left until I can cast it again. So there, I cast it again. A lot of times you won't be able to, and if you mouse over the ability, it'll actually say in the corner, I can't do it twice at once, move the mouse, it'll say how many seconds are in the cooldown. A lot of times in the heat of the moment, you're just going to want to look, and you're going to be like, well, it's halfway, maybe that means I have 10 seconds left. You don't want to have to guess as far as how many seconds I have. before I can cast certain spells again, like your potions are going to be on cooldowns. All your CC abilities, crowd control abilities, all these important spells that you need to survive a fight are going to be off of cooldown, and it's very, very helpful to know when that spell is going to come up again. So one of the first things you do is go into your user interface and just have your cooldown text. I think depending on how many tenths of a second you want it, so I have it go to 2 seconds before it showed tenths of a second. You can have all the way up to 10. You don't really need that. I have my text size fairly big because you just want to see it. That's all that really matters. So let's look at the difference. And again, we'll cast Overload, 20-second cooldown. And lo and behold, we have a second timer that shows us exactly how long the next time we're going to be able to cast that spell. So step 1 within your user interface, try and have your cooldowns visible so you can see them. Now the other thing we're going to mention is key bindings before we went on that tangent, and we will get to it. So within preferences, and it depends on what you're using. If you have a fancy mouse, maybe you have a lot of bindings on your mouse that you can use. Me, I have a 3-button mouse, which is your standard, just regular mouse. There's nothing gamer about it, and just a standard keyboard. However, within that, I have between, let's just say, give or take 30 abilities that I can cast instantly by just going to the keyboard. The way we set that up is, most of what you're going to want to hotkey is a spell, and most of your spells are going to be put on this, which is your quickbar. So you can see that there. And I'm actually going to do something. So again, assuming you start out in default, there's another setting that has extended quickbars. Okay, extended quickbars is basically default, but with all. Assuming you have unlocked all your quickbars. I think if you're free to play, you're limited to certain amounts. But let's just take free to play out of it. Let's assume you're a sub and you have all your quickbars. You can see it's basically a great place for you to put your spells. As opposed to, technically you can open your spell book by pressing P, and you can actually click it to cast it. Let's see, if I wanted to cast Overload, I could probably just left click it from here, right? Yeah, but I mean, come on, who's really going to be casting spells from their spell book? If you are and you're rocking that in PvP, my goodness, you are older than old school. But generally speaking, what we do is, you take a spell that you want, you move it to where you want it on the quickbar. You can see I have a lot of that set up already. And so right here you can see, alright, this is the first quickbar, this would be my second quickbar, this would be my third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, I believe. Give or take, I might be off by 1 or 2. And the way you can actually easily tell this is if you open the interface editor, it'll tell you. So I was wrong, this is actually 4, 5, 6. And this is 3. We just opened the interface editor. Oh my god, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So, within here, what we can do, God, I don't even want to keep opening my character frame. We can go back to preferences, key bindings, and you can see, to cast 1, I'll press 1, to cast 2, I'll cast 2, because my fingers can kind of reach these buttons, 3, 4, 5, even 5, but 6, alright. Going from your WASD, assuming you move with WASD, to 6 is actually kind of a stretch, but guess what? I can bind it to, god damn it, I just unbound it, but let's say I wanted to bind it. Let's say I unbind it, now F. And that's my new 6 key, so anytime I want to cast whatever is in this quickbar 1, 6 area, I just press F. Same with 7, I moved it to T, 8 is R, so I don't have to press 8, 9 is Q, 0 is E. And you can have it however you want to do it. The important thing is, for these that are maybe you won't be able to reach with your finger, to have the ability to cast it somewhere close to where your left hand is at the time. Because trust me, it's a lot easier to just, right now for instance, I have my 0 key, or actually this is I think minus and equals, yeah. I have my equal key set to C, so boom, right there, as opposed to clicking it, you actually do save time. So it's all about saving time, because you want to be able to cast at the speed of thought, so to speak, and if if you're doing that by clicking, it actually takes a little bit of a delay, because you actually have to navigate your way around it depending on how quickly and accurately a clicker you are. You're almost always going to be faster with your keyboard. Okay, so what happens when you run out of buttons? You know, obviously, you know, there are only limited buttons around your left hand at the time. That's where the shift key comes in. This is something that's actually great within SWTOR that you don't actually have in certain games, like say maybe WildStar, where you can't really bind map like a shift command or an alt command. You actually, you know, you're limited to what they allow you. But you know, then again, they have a different user interface. But let's stick with SWTOR, and SWTOR allows you to use the shift key. So guess what? When I run out of keys like D and E, I can use shift, and it becomes a whole new spell. So you can see shift E is my force speed, you know, shift C is my force mend. So basically, you want to fill this up as much as you feel comfortable with, that you know you're going to be able to like press it, and you know what you're going to want to be casting. And it takes time to build up that kind of muscle memory in your brain to know that, alright, I'm going to have hotkeys, and then I'm going to have shift hotkeys on top of that. But trust me, SWTOR is a game where you have plenty of spells. So I have my health pot, my adrenals set to like shift keys. So it's very useful, and again, it saves you a ton of time when you want to cast stuff. Especially when you want to cast things in succession of each other, as opposed to being like click, 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 click. You have everything at your fingertips. So that's step one, really, as far as just like, okay, assigning spells to your quick bar, and then binding certain keys so that they match up with those spells. And that's all really key bindings mean. And you'll see most advanced or intermediate players use that. So within here, you can open your interface editor. Let's say you want some things that, like, all right, I want to be able to see it a little bit better. You know, you can move it here. You can resize it as well. I can scale that one to smaller, because again, these are spells that I'm not maybe casting all the time. Same with, you know, how often am I casting my party gel? Well, actually, quite a lot. But point is, I have it hotkeyed, and really the only point I need to see it is to see its cooldown. So again, there's certain things that I don't need as big. You can also change it so that, like, maybe you want it to have it horizontal instead, and you can do that. There you go. There you go. So that's just a horizontal way of setting up the same vertical thing. So you can do that with this as well. Just change number of slots, keep it 12, and slots per row. 2. There you go, like that. Actually, it should be 12. Yeah. And you know, depending on where you want it, how you like to see things, there you go. And you know, move your quick bar. Most people keep most of their main spells within here under some form. I can show you the final iteration of how I do it with mine, as far as how I have that set up. But really, I just wanted to kind of address within. All right, so let's name this something stupid. Save. Oh no, it's called Jane and Proud Not To, or whatever. So there it is, Jane and Proud Not To. So we have a couple within here. I know the one that I use is actually it's Folio 5, right? Yeah, this is what I use. And so you can see I have it actually set up a little bit differently, but let's not jump straight to there. Let's keep going to where we just were. So we're basically just starting from extended quick bars and changing stuff. Now, one of the big major differences that I have with my UI versus others is actually the map, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. But no matter where you are, I'm going to say right now, the reason why a lot of people or players when they first start are not necessarily always aware of what's going on is because SWTOR, for reasons of, you know, they want you to see the full screen, they're actually going to put their map kind of out of the way, because, you know, you don't really need to be referring to it all the time if you're going to be in PvE, because most of your environment you're just going to be able to see within your screen. In fact, I'm going to move these out of the way for now. Okay. But if you are in PvP, the maps are so small relative to the environment and say like a planet like Belsavis, that you're actually going to be able to see and gain a lot of information out of your map. So one of the first things that you want to do is you want to take your map and you want to put it somewhere where you can see it. And you almost want to make it as big as possible because you want to be able to see as much detail as possible, because I know this sounds cheesy, but the more you see, the more you know. And the more information you have, the less reliant you are on, say, like a call out. Or, you know, you'll always basically know where your teammates are on any one of the PvP maps by being able to reference your mini-map. I would say 2/3 to almost 80% of the time. Sometimes you're going to see a teammate either spawning and you won't be able to find them on your mini-map. You can save it. Worst comes to worst, you can actually always open your map and it'll show up there. So, we'll go back, and let's say you wanted to increase it, and let's say you know you can actually move your quest tracker, move your quickbar over here. In fact, you can hide this altogether if you wanted, because quickbar 6, and you're not really gonna. 6 is basically you're saying you need 72 spells hotkeyed. You know, 6 times 12. Each extended quickbar has 12 spells. So let's say maybe you don't need 6. How do you get rid of it? Well, just disable it. So where it says enabled, just click that. Here, let's see, maybe I want to put this, maybe I want to put this up here, kind of out of the way, because these are maybe some spells that I don't need, like my quick travel, you know, you're always going to have sprint, your speeder, stuff like that. And there are ways you can just put it, you know, still have it on your screen, but maybe put it somewhere a little less obtrusive. And you'll always notice for me, I always kind of have my map flipped vertically. So yeah, when it was on the bottom, we had all the information listed on the top. When it's on the top, you have all the information listed on the bottom. And let's move that over, and then boom. So now what we've changed effectively is our map is here now. Okay, so you can see a lot more what you're going. I kind of flubbed it up as far as oops, no, that's not what I wanted. Interface editor. So achievement tracker, you know, do you really need it this big? Probably not. You know, you can shrink it however you want. Maybe have it flip vertically. Yeah, there we go. So let's save this, and maybe I just toggle it closed most of the time, you know. And you know, this is really just cleaning stuff up as far as like target of target. I always want that enabled. We'll go into that later. That's not necessarily something you need to know right off the bat. But here, mission tracker, flip that vertically. So now we have this. Lower the height a little bit, maybe keep it a little bigger. Reduce the alpha so you can see through it. And boom, because guess what? You're not really looking at your mission tracker a lot during PvP either. So, you know, things that you don't need to see, let's move them off the screen, off our line of sight. There is one last thing as far as user interface. And again, mind you, this is just a base, bare bones, quick and dirty way to move stuff around. Keep doing that, interface editor. Okay, so arena scorecard, you saw that. That's your arena scorecard. They're scoring in the arena, right? There's a whole lot of other, so you have a whole list of Warzone cards that you can move around the cartel market. Put down here. And that's all here. And unfortunately, you won't be able to see it highlighted until you're actually in the specific Warzone. So I won't be able to see an Ancient Hypergate scorecard until I'm in Ancient Hypergate. Same thing for Arena, same thing for Hutball. But it all, you know, anything that you see on your screen, you have total control over as far as moving. The only one that I wanted to bring to attention is actually VoidStar. Because VoidStar is the one that actually has a map on it as well. It's actually got a map of all the doors. And for this, you know, you can increase the scale on it, you can change it, but just know that if you're going to move things into this top right corner of your screen, like I did with the map, that you are going to make sure that you don't want to overload or overlap with any of your Warzone scorecards. And the best way to check is when you're in that specific Warzone, open your interface editor if you need to move something around, and you'll see exactly how it shows up. So again, this was just a really, really quick way to just go over the idea, the concept of hotkeying, how do you how do you add spells on your extended quick bar? You can lock it, unlock it, so that if I lock it, now I can't move the spell off. If I unlock it, I can move the spell off it and move it somewhere. Doesn't matter. I don't never really use that spell anyway. I keep it unlocked simply because I'm moving spells here and there a lot because I respec a lot, and when you respec, sometimes I want to change my hotkeys, because one thing I failed to mention is my Q and E are always my spam keys. So those are the spells that I happen to be casting the most. Here you can tell because I'm Madness, Affliction is my E, because you're always going to be spamming a dot. But let's say I was a healer, then Static Barrier might be my E, because I'm spamming Static Barrier so much because I'm trying to heal people. So that's a little thing that's a little bit more intermediate as far as like how you want to set up your hotkeys so that you're always going to have the spells that you're casting the most available on your keys. And also you might want to keep certain things constant. Like I know for a fact that I always have T as my CC key. It changes for everybody else, and everybody has their own preferences. But the important thing is that you get used to what works for you. So this is kind of quick and dirty, like I said, first step, user interface and hotkeys. And then as we get into it more, hopefully as I maybe make a couple more of these videos and find out the best way to approach it, we can see, alright, like steadily, alright, what are some of the things that you can do without actually having a lot of gameplay experience behind you that you can do for yourself that will just improve your gameplay. I'm going to go straight to, and you can see actually I went through a couple iterations. So like this was one of the like previous versions of what I did. This was another previous version of what I did. You actually can't see a lot of the changes because a lot of them were for the Warzone stuff. And then finally we've been using this pretty much for the last year, I would say. And actually, if you're interested in finding more user interfaces, I'll actually link this on the video. But you can go to SWTOR.com, and there are a whole bunch of user interfaces there. This one is actually on there as well. So that's that. Any questions that you guys have, I'm happy to reply to on the video or in the comments section. And like I said, I hope I can make a couple more of these, and I hope that you have found it helpful.